So when I first got interested in artificial intelligence, it was when IBM Watson beat the Grand Chess Master for the third time. So AI, something that is now smarter than the smartest person on the planet at something that I struggle with, this is here, and this needs to be paid attention to. So when you look at what artificial intelligence can do and the ideas that you can apply to it right now, hardware is still 4 years behind the technology that we have in our pocket right now. And so when the hardware gets into a contact lens that you can put on your eye and you've got a heads-up display powered by AI, I can be looking at you, and on the side, it's like Brad Rice, Facebook profile, this many friends, here's all the people that Brad knows that I know, here are the possible business connections that I have with him, here's his heart rate, here's all the things that are happening right now. We're like years away from that.
It'll be you thinking of what, or even AI showing you what you should be thinking about this connection, right? So like you and I are talking and it's saying, hey, there's a connection here. Brad is also in real estate. He's in mortgage. You have this. I think that you could sell him this product for this purpose and this will benefit them. What do you see the actual home buying and mortgage process looking like different from today in say 5 years?
So
in life, there's a blueprint for everything. There's no need to start over. Hear from industry leaders, those at the top of their fitness journey, and real estate gurus. They tell you exactly how they did it. All you have to do is listen, learn, and execute. This is The Blueprint with Brad Rice.
All right, team, here we are back again at The Blueprint with Brad Rice. I am your host today, as usual, but today I've got somebody with me that took the trek down from Canada to meet in person with me for the first time. We've known each other for years. We're friends. We're colleagues. We've worked together. He's an investor of mine in my company, Homepie. This guy is going to blow your mind. I had him on my other podcast, my virtual podcast called Get Real 411 about a year and a half ago-ish. And we went so long because he brought the heat that, today we're in person now. I wanted to really kind of tie this in to consumers and AI and the things that he's doing for that. So I welcome Chris Johnstone, and he is a leading expert in mortgage marketing and the founder of Connection Incorporated. Chris also helps loan officers generate high-quality leads, automates the follow-ups using AI, and helps them to scale their business with other cutting-edge marketing strategies. He also hosts his own podcast called The Loan Officer Marketing with Chris Johnstone.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I was on that not that long ago. And he shares systems with loan officers to build their own wealth and freedom through these tools. So let's dive in and learn about Chris, about what you're doing with AI and how that's going to help people in the future. Because I just had somebody on the show that we talked about AI. He has an AI company, like that's all he does. Mm-hmm. And it was the most interesting conversation I had. So I'm super excited back to back with that to have a conversation with you about it. Thanks for driving. Thanks for flying down and then driving in to see us.
It's my pleasure. It's great to see you, brother, and thank you for having me. Thanks y'all for listening.
Yeah.
So AI, man, what a crazy world we're living in right now.
Yeah, I had the chance just for our viewers to sit down with you about an hour ago in our conference room, and you walked me through some of the things you're doing with AI, and I was blown away. Like. I imagined this stuff was out there, but to actually see behind the covers, like what you're doing with it, you've really become a cutting edge expert in this. And so I think it would be helpful for people to understand kind of your background. Let's start there. Yep. Your background, how you started Connection Incorporated, and then how you kind of really stay on the cutting edge of all these things that are happening, especially more recently with AI. Like, how do you actually stay plugged into the level you do?
Yeah, great question. It's a mindset more than a place that I go to get information. I think I'll date myself on this one, but I'm lucky enough to have been one of the kids that helped remove the typewriters from the computer lab and actually install the Commodore 64s at the school. And I've always had a love of technology and learning from that point forward. So I got to see the birth of, text messaging and how that changed standard communication. I remember everybody thought texting was so stupid because why would you text somebody when you could just call them? And then
look, we have to clarify that for people that are like Gen Z or even millennials.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's go back to pagers. Let's go back to pagers.
Okay, well, the pagers would be, look, absolutely.
I got to pull over and I got a quarter in my dash so I can make a payphone call.
You could page people. Anyway, but going beyond that, when texting first came out, okay, let's just think, unless you had a BlackBerry and you were using a regular flip phone or whatever, you had to go through each of the letters, on the phone numbers that are tied to it and select them. It was a pain, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, but somehow you saw beyond that and said, okay, it's not just about the phones we're using to do this now. Text messaging is going to be a big thing. So it is very insightful at that time to have, because it was a pain. Like, call. Like, I don't want to text you. It takes too long. But go ahead.
Well, that's what the idea is, always faster than the hardware that supports it, right? Because hardware takes infrastructure. Ideas move fast. So when you look at what artificial intelligence can do and the ideas that you can apply to it right now, hardware is still 4 years behind the technology that we have in our pocket right now, right? So I can go to AI right now and say, I'm keto. Here's how old I am. Here's how much I weigh. Here's my fitness plan. Remind me every day what my fitness plan is and map me out a ketogenic diet for my goals. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
Well, as soon as hardware catches that knowledge, there's an AI-driven chef in my kitchen that doesn't tell me what to eat. It gives me what to eat, right? So the technology and the ideas are already here. Hardware has to catch it. And that's where we're going to see this massive blow up in the world, and all of the change that we're going to see coming is when the hardware interfaces come with humans, right? So take Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, he's got this Neuralink company, right? Not his, but he's involved in it.
Yeah.
So Neuralink is insane.
I've seen some things with it with people that can't communicate anything but what their thoughts are with these diodes on their heads, and they can move things on the computer, and it's incredible.
Yeah. And what it is, the big idea is, so the idea behind the company is somebody has a disability. They can't use arms, legs, whatever, right? You can install a chip in their brain, and through thought, they can talk to a computer. Okay? Well, computer is where AI lives. So now we have fully functioning ability to hook a human brain to a computer that's powered by AI. How long does it take until that human being is AI powered, right? Hardware is a contact lens. So it is not going to take long for somebody to figure out how to put Bluetooth on a lens that you put over your eye, and you've got a heads-up display, like the Apple headset or whatever.
Right.
Like nobody's going to walk around with a 40-pound unit on their head or
Right.
whatever the thing weighs. But the hardware is going to catch the idea.
Yeah.
And so when the hardware gets into a contact lens that you can put on your eye, and you've got a heads-up display powered by AI, I can be looking at you, and on the side, it's like Brad Rice, Facebook profile, this many friends. Here's all the people that Brad knows that I know. Here are the possible business connections that I have with him. Here's his heart rate. Here's all the things that are happening right now. We're like years away from that. That's not
I imagine
future
it's not
technology.
even that. Like it won't be necessarily a fixed profile. It'll be you thinking of what, or even AI showing you what you should be thinking about this connection, right? So like you and I are talking and it's saying, hey, there's a connection here. Brad is also in real estate. He's in mortgage. You have this. I think that you could sell him this product for this purpose and this will benefit them.
Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting. That's really thinking. That's really forward thinking.
But think about, we're as human beings beautifully flawed. That's the way that God made us. I think the flaws are, it's the crack in the vase. That's the beauty, right? We as human beings, it's our flaws that make us human, that make this world such an incredible place to be in. But we're forgetful, right? We forget. Maybe sometimes that's a benefit to us. We forget different things in different relationships and stuff like that. But once you have an experience with artificial intelligence, it never forgets, and it always has that labeled to you. So when you have goals and you have fundamentals on how you live your life, we all have patterns, right? We're pattern-based. The AI learns really, really well at pattern-based behavior. So when you have an AI that knows who you are, that knows your family, that knows your patterns, where you go, where you spend your time, who you communicate with, and it's able to take that data set that it's constantly learning and growing from and applying it to new information and new experiences that you're going into. You and I think about it from a business perspective, business podcast, all of that wonderful things. But there's this whole other world that you and I aren't even thinking about that the AI will have context on. So it's like, hey, Brad's into fitness, you're into fitness, you guys should be sharing information about this and this and this. And all of a sudden we've got this depth to our conversation and our relationship that you or I would not have thought about. But because the AI, yours understands what your values are, mine understands what my values are, and there's this whole other layer of personal communication that we can have with each other.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. So how did you wind up learning about AI to begin with? Like, tell me the story. So you've got the marketing company, right? And before AI, you were doing other things that were considered cutting edge, just with CRMs and automations and email and text and all that sort of thing. But then you brought AI into it about how long ago?
I'd say if you're considering joining the AmeriFund team, it's a really good idea.
We as processors at AmeriFund Home Loans support the loan officers in every aspect of the loan once it comes into processing because we want them out there marketing themselves and originating more loans and supporting more borrowers.
Competitive commission plans are a given, and powerful technology is expected, but what truly sets us apart is our culture. We've built a solid support system for our loan officers.
If you're interested in joining the AmeriFund team, go to amerifund.com/careers.
So probably 2.5 years ago, like I wouldn't call myself cutting edge, but I also wouldn't say I like to accelerate the curve really quickly. So I'll go backwards in time to tell just like a mercifully brief story. So my first company that I started, I got into the mortgage business with my dad. He was a mortgage broker, and I was trying to set up referral relationships with real estate agents. I was viciously awkward. Still am, right? But not really good at the whole face-to-face thing. So I did the rate sheets and donuts circuit. For those of you watching, don't know what that is. A loan officer fills their car up with donuts and rate sheets and drives around to all the real estate offices trying to meet with real estate agents, trying to get them business. So I'm 23 years old at the time, getting doors slammed in my face. People are laughing at me. Terrible, terrible experience. Great learning experience.
Yes.
So I defaulted back to technology. And it just so happened that I was at that point in time in my life when Google Ads came out. And it was like within the month of me being like, I'm not going to do this personal networking thing. I'm going to figure this out with technology. Google Ads came out. And I taught myself how to build a website, how to run a Google ad. And in little old Guelph, Ontario, Canada, which is where I came up, we generated over 300 real estate leads the first month that we turned on our lead gen system. And we would just say, hey, Google, somebody that searches for real estate, show them this ad that says, tell us what you're looking for, and we'll give you a list of houses. People would fill in their contact information, and we would take that lead, sell it to a real estate agent, but also use that to build a relationship. So I went from not being able to build relationships at all to being able to walk into some of the largest agents in town, slap down 20 leads that I generated that day, and be like,
value.
would you like to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So seeing a technology, understanding how to directly apply it to the industry where I was making money, and finding that unique value has just always been something that I've been able to zero in on. So when I first got interested in artificial intelligence, it was when IBM Watson beat the Grand Chess Master for the third time. So I saw a news article, and it was like, this AI has beaten the chess grandmaster. And then it wasn't that long after that it beat the world's best Go champion. And Go is by factors harder than chess is.
I've never even heard of Go. What is Go?
So Go is a strategy game kind of like chess, but you play it on multiple layers, I think. And it's just a lot more complicated. There's a lot more variations of how the game can be played.
Micah, can you bring up, while we're talking, can you bring up the game Go? Is it just spelled G-O?
I think so, yeah. And good to fact check most of what I say. Because my memory is not what it used to be.
I just want to see this. I've never even heard of it before, and I play chess.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. My dad taught me chess when I was like 6 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
I always
awesome.
played with him. I mean, until literally, like, we would play chess. He passed away about 2 years ago, and when he was in a home and stuff, I would go and we'd play chess together. Now he'd kind of lost his ability to beat me at that point, but
I'm sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. He lived a long, good life. Keepstone. Okay, so there's stones on this game.
Do Go
connecting
strategy
stones.
versus chess and complication? In complication. So complexity is actually a good one there. See the old Google at...
complexity, but... Okay, there you go. That'll work. Go is generally considered more complex due to its larger board size, more open play, and its emphasis on long-term strategic planning and intuitive judgment. This is very interesting. I'm gonna check that out. I had no idea. So
harder than chess.
Yeah.
And so AI got to the point where it figured out chess and became the best chess player in the world. Very shortly after, it then beat the greatest Go player in the world. So I understood at that point, I was like, okay, so the law of compute, basically.
Exponential.
It's exponential. So AI, something that is now smarter than the smartest person on the planet at something that I struggle with, this is here, and this needs to be paid attention to because it's just a matter of time until this takes over. Now, that type of AI is known as a singular AI. So what they've done is they've given it all of the data about chess, and it's watched millions of games, and they're just feeding that into the AI. Then there's this hazy middle, and then the output is the AI actually playing chess. But all it knows how to do is chess.
Got it.
Right? Ask it a question about, is this a cat or is this a dog? It can't do it.
Not trained for that.
Now, there are massive models at Google that are training on what all of these different things. That's part of what CAPTCHA is.
Yeah.
Like when you fill out a CAPTCHA, you're helping to train
Yep.
artificial intelligence on what objects are, right? And so that story comes out. Then there's an incredible book out there by a guy named Mo Gaudat. And Mo wrote this book. He was a Google engineer, or not a Google engineer. He was like the senior guy at Google in AI. And he talks about they had this room at Google, and I'll be mercifully brief because you should go watch the podcast from him because he'll say this a whole lot better than I will. But at Google, they have this room, and they invest millions of dollars in this robot arm that can drive around the room and pick up objects. And the whole goal for this arm is to go find a yellow squishy ball, right? So they put it in a room, and they just tell it, go find the yellow squishy ball. And I don't think much parameters past that. So all this thing is a camera and an arm. It just picks up an object. Is it a yellow ball? No.
Okay.
So he tells this story. This goes on for years, where this robot basically just like goes around, picks up things every single day. And he's like, oh, congratulations, Google. You're spending millions and millions of dollars on this like arm. Long story short, the arm goes over, and he just happens to be on his way to lunch one day, and he looks over and he looks inside the room, and he sees the arm pick up the yellow ball. And he's like, whoa. It did it.
It learned.
Great, cool. Well, no, it's at that point, it's random.
Oh,
It's just picked up a random object, right? Within a week, it's like 99.9% accurate. They can mix everything up in the room, and the robot arm goes, finds the yellow ball, goes, picks it up.
Okay.
And the scale of AI we as human beings, we have to learn on top of knowledge. You get a piece of knowledge. That allows you to lock the next level in the video game, and then you learn on top of that knowledge.
Yeah.
AI doesn't learn like that.
Doesn't stack like that.
It's just a straight line up because once it knows it, it knows it. And the crazy thing about it is if one AI knows it, a million AIs can know it instantaneously because once it has the knowledge. So I believe that as human beings, we don't understand the scope of knowledge and the pace at which AI can just transform all knowledge.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I have a realization like that, I almost can't think about anything else because it's like this is going to transform absolutely every industry in ways that we will never even understand until we're right in front of it.
And so that, I mean, basically you've taken that awareness now and built systems using AI for the mortgage business specifically to help loan officers do things that they, A, don't like to do, B, don't do well, and C, don't even do, and now it does it for them. And so it's super impressive what you've built with that. But I'm just curious, like, you know, in my discussions with this other guest of mine, we were talking about different models.
Yep.
So like ChatGPT is probably the one that's most well-known and widely used. There's Claude. There's a whole bunch of others. Where do you fall in the spectrum? Do you try to use them all? Do you use some of them? Do you use just ChatGPT? Tell us.
My advice for someone selling their home: number 1, do it yourself and save. Number 2, use Homepie.
Homepie makes it easy to buy or sell without an agent. I can list a home in minutes and start receiving offers right away from buyers.
When we discovered that we didn't have to lose $40,000 in agent commission just to upsize to a larger home, it was an obvious choice.
List your home for free at homepie.com. Keep your piece of the pie.
Yeah, so I'm a huge ChatGPT user because I believe that they are the ones that have the majority of the money behind them and they're driving innovation and they seem to be moving a lot faster. But I also use Grok because it's got all of the Twitter intelligence in it. Like if I'm going to write a marketing piece, I'm going to go do it on Grok. If I'm going to build a conversational engine, I'm going to go do it with ChatGPT.
Okay.
So you take a look, they have personalities. They're just like people. And so you go to the one that has the personality archetype of the tasks that you want to take care of.
Okay, so can we go through those?
Sure.
Let's compare and contrast the different AI models that consumers can log on and use today.
Yep.
Starting with ChatGPT.
So ChatGPT, treat it like a friend and a person and talk to it. ChatGPT has this little button in the bottom right-hand corner. You just tap it, it turns on, it's got a voice, talk to it. All of the time, me and the kids, when we're in the car, that's our quality time, right? So we'll have a conversation about something, and inevitably, ChatGPT will just turn it on and have it join the conversation because my kids are super interested about particular topics. Well,
when you do that, do you have to ask it to chime in, or you just tell it we're going to have a conversation? And did you name your chat?
So no, I have not named my chat
yet.
Yet.
Okay.
Yep.
So you just turn it on and you say join in on our conversation.
Yep.
And it just does.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
And
so conversational.
Yeah. But it understands when I open up that conversation. It knows my daughter's voice. It knows my son's voice. It knows their names. It knows their friends. It's literally like,
okay.
It understands.
Huh.
That
and you have it
it
connected
has
to like your
conversations.
Bluetooth on your car radio and it just, that's so interesting. I'm going to have to try that. That's so weird. All right. So that's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
What about Claude?
So Claude is, I would think personally, probably the best AI engine that's out there. They have a new deep reasoning model that is outrageous. So what you can do is actually give it tasks and have it really dive in on that task. And so in looking at, let's apply this to the mortgage industry. So for years, I've been talking about artificial intelligence. I do keynotes all over, and people will come up to me at the end, and they're like, yeah, well, the good thing mortgages are so complicated, AI is never going to take this process over. And I want to make the immediate statement that relationships will never be replaced by AI. And 87%, I believe the statistic is 87% of all mortgages that fund right now come from a referral. It is the most complicated transaction for people to do, and they need personal guidance in order to do it.
I would interject there and say, and I would add the word yet.
Sure.
And I only say that because we look at these futuristic movies that are becoming not so futuristic, and just go back to the Jetsons and Rosie.
Yep.
She had a personality,
Yeah.
and I think eventually people may actually not only adapt but prefer to have somebody who's reliable and doesn't go through hormonal changes or daily depression or things of those nature, and they just want somebody that can be either a companion, a business associate, a partner, things of that nature, or somebody that they can communicate with maybe on their personal financials instead of a financial advisor. Like there's all sorts of applications where you just want somebody that you understand and is consistent. And so you say never, and I say I don't think that's true. And I just know I've taken a look, under the covers of some of these large mortgage companies like Better and Rocket and Lower that are building these AI models that are so good, way better than your average originator, and can build that relationship at the same time with the consumer. So I think we're at the beginning of this process, but I don't think we're more than a couple of years away from me as a consumer saying, no, I'd rather work with this. And I know, even though I may know it or I might not know it, I'd rather work with this thing because it's so reliable and accurate.
And there's so much to unpack there. But as soon as the general consumer understands and a mortgage company can provide an atmosphere for a client that's 100% safe, like your data is 100% secure when you have this conversation with the AI. That is the first hurdle to general market penetration.
Yeah.
Of like, I can talk to this thing and all my data is safe. This isn't going to get hacked. I'm not going to lose my personal information. It's the same thing we went through with debit cards, right? Now people are tapping them. You don't even need a PIN anymore.
Right.
The PIN didn't really matter. They put the PIN in place so that people would trust the technology because they felt
Trust
like they
factor.
had something secure, right? So that when you take that and you apply it to the mortgage conversation, people do want just a blunt conversation when it comes to finance. They don't want to feel like they're being sold. They want to feel like they're consulted. They want the best price, and they want really good, solid advice. That's what people come to a mortgage advisor for. AI can do all of that, right? So if you look at, okay, again, there's a lot to unpack here. But if I'm the CEO of a major mortgage company, and I would like to have this conversation, you have all of the data on what approved and what declined. You take that, you put it into a secure environment, and you teach an AI model specifically to that. And then you put your business model and layer your profitability and everything that you want on top of that transactional data, and you get an artificial intelligence that can have the conversation with the consumer. We have clients of ours that work with us in the loan officer CRM, and we teach a class every week. It's designed specifically around AI. So ChatGPT now has these custom GPT agents where you can go to ChatGPT and create like your own little version of ChatGPT, basically. So what we did was we took one of these things and we uploaded all of the guidelines of all the different products and turned it into an underwriting assistant.
Yeah.
So now the loan officer is going back and winning arguments against the underwriting department in his company and actually got a deal funded that was declined because he was using ChatGPT to go through the underwriting guidelines and give case in point.
And some lenders are actually providing this now, like UWM has their
Which
UWM chat, and it's
awesome.
all AI driven, and it's far more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But give that to...
Where it isn't, by the way, just one more.
Please.
Where it isn't is... These are guidelines,
right?
Okay, and so this is an argument I always had when I was originating loans. Like, this is a guideline. This is not a rule. This guideline says X, Y, Z. We have this nuance to ours, but logically it fits into this guideline. If you look at what the meaning of that guideline is, we don't meet that exactly, but this is part of what it means to do because it's a guideline. You just use it as guidelines. It's like driving down the road. you've got your guidelines on the right and the left, but you can veer to the left slightly and still be in the guidelines, or to the right slightly and still be in the guidelines. And so I used to go through this exercise with underwriters and convince them that this makes sense. Think about it logically.
Right.
This makes sense. That's just a guideline.
Yep. But I mean, how many transactions does that apply to? 10% that the
Probably.
AI filters out and gives to a person.
Yeah, probably.
So 90% of the work that's now being done manually is streamlined and more efficient and more effective. And the consumer wins because the consumer gets a more reliable process, but they also get standardized pricing.
Yes.
Because in the mortgage industry and finance in general, and this relates to insurance, getting a car loan, Visa statements, or like your credit cards, every single type of financing, everybody feels like they're getting ripped off. As soon as you have an AI that has a guarantee on it, just like when you go and it's like, if you find this somewhere else cheaper, we'll give it to you for 10% off. As the financial services company that offers financial services products guaranteed at a price, lowest in the marketplace with the greatest service, wins.
Everything.
All financial services.
Yep.
Right? And this is my vision and my goal with something that I'm working on that I can't talk publicly about. But I believe that what AI is going to do is it's going to sit in the pocket of the general consumer and take the waste that has been taken from the average consumer and give it back to people. I believe that people have been taken advantage of because finance and your overall financial picture is complicated.
Yeah.
And it's designed to be complicated because that's where the money comes from. That's where the companies make the money.
That's right.
Right? But if you take a look at the average American or the average Canadian and you look at their general overall financial statement, if you ask ChatGPT, if you analyzed my finances every month, or the average American, how much money can the average American save per month if they were to just renegotiate their credit cards, renegotiate their insurance, renegotiate their car payments, renegotiate all of the monthly recurring payments that they have? Do you know what the number is? It's $534 a month.
Wow.
Think of
that's powerful
as an average number.
Yeah. I wouldn't even think to use AI like that, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're training mortgage professionals to do. Create these GPTs that are financial assistants for your customers and give it to them to provide value so that you can generate more referrals.
So you're saying this. I want to say this in a different way so that
Please
people
do.
Get this. If I ask you the question, how much can the average consumer save each month if they load all their financial documents into chat, to AI, to analyze it, to tell them where they're missing or what they should renegotiate or what they could shift around? How much?
I think it's over $500 a month.
Come on.
Seriously.
That's amazing.
Now,
have you put this to work using your own finances?
Yes.
And you created savings for you?
Well, my background is Dutch, and I like numbers, so I'm pretty tight on my numbers. But if you look at the average subscriptions that people have on their credit cards, when's the last time you looked at your credit card statement and analyzed, should I be paying for all of these monthly subscriptions?
That's a really good point. I just found out last week, because we were doing some upgrades to my business account for phones and stuff on Verizon, that you get and I can't remember now what it was, but let's just say it was a free Paramount subscription, Paramount Plus.
Yep.
And I pay for it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that this whole time. So I think that there's a lot of truth to that. So what model? So we were talking about the models, ChatGPT, and then Claude. What about Grok?
Grok is amazing.
What would you use that for?
So I would use that for copywriting. I would use it for humor. To just have a conversation and have a good laugh and really look at the human condition that is behind it. It's fantastic.
Interesting. Okay.
And the point that I'd like to make is that all AI is smarter than Einstein, but Einstein was only really smart at a very specific set of things. AI is Einstein for everything in every language.
Yeah.
Language.
Yeah, that too.
Right? So their AI's got me beat on the speech for sure.
For sure.
But it's like when we look at how consumers are going to be empowered in the new economy and how business owners and mortgage lenders and automobile dealers and all of look at the healthcare industry. if we look at how AI is going to empower us, it is 100% a tipping point moment in our society where the people that lean in and learn how to be AI powered or assisted are the ones that are going to go through this messy middle. Because with every technology, there's like the introduction,
early
there's the messy
adopters,
middle.
and then,
That's right. You go through that whole thing. The people that are willing to go through the messy middle right now are going to be so far removed from the people that didn't lean in on this technology. There's going to be a huge difference.
Okay, so there's those 3 models. What others?
So one of the reasons why I like OpenAI is because they're going after all of the different types of AI. So you've got voice AI, you have image AI, you've got text AI, you've got reasoning models, and now you have agents. So ChatGPT, this is something that's worth looking up.
Okay.
So ChatGPT has a brand new feature called Operator. And what ChatGPT Operator does is it can actually interact with your computer. So it runs your browser. So take the example of travel. Hey, ChatGPT, I've got a podcast with Brad Rice coming up. I want to be home for my son's hockey game at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, but my podcast is at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Book my travel for me. ChatGPT Operator will go open up your browser, click all of the buttons, research all of the options based on what you've told it, and actually book your flights.
Okay, I just saw something on this that Amazon pushed out, and it was talking to Alexa and basically treating it like your assistant.
Yeah.
I want you to, I need to travel to such and such. I want you to book to travel. I don't want to take these, airlines. I want to do this. I want to sit like that. And it just basically reached out and then responded with, "You want me to make you dinner reservations?"
Right.
As well. Like, where are you going to eat? What kind of food do you want? Like, conversational. So this is, now we get into, not robotics, but this is like, personal concierge at our disposal. So at what point do we as people in service businesses start interacting with our customers AI instead of our customers?
Yeah. Well, so here's the opportunity. Because what ChatGPT is allowing us to do is with a custom GPT, that's a service that you can provide to your customer. So it's built on OpenAI, it's built on ChatGPT, but you create a custom GPT and you say, be a personal financial assistant to my consumer. And anytime they have a question about personal finance, financial planners, insurance advisors, all the different referral relationships, if they're thinking about real estate, if they're thinking about making a move, I want you to recommend me as the person that they should reach out to in order to get access to my referral network. So you give your consumer this tool that's life-changing, that's absolutely amazing, always on, in their pocket, the most cutting-edge AI technology built and provided by you that recommends you when the time is right for them to make that purchase. There's all this predictive technology in the mortgage industry and credit cards of like when somebody is about to buy something. When you have AI assistants that have all of the predictive technology plus patterns, behaviors, and relationship with the consumer, the purchase is almost not going to happen by the consumer anymore. Like if you think about it, Brad, we're very quickly approaching a world where shopping is not, kids in 20 years are going to look back at us and go, you went shopping?
Yeah.
It's not going to be a thing anymore. Like you waste 25% of your life driving around to different places to pick up different things. Like what was that like? Because your AI is going to be so smart that we're pattern-based people. Back to the original conversation. It's like, so if 5 times a week I drive to this place and buy this thing, it will just be on my doorstep and I won't have to think about it.
Okay, so, all right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, we all shop on Amazon and what have you, right? I'd say 90% of what I buy is shipped to me as opposed to me going somewhere. But the issue you have with ordering things like clothing online and having it shipped, and I just had this happen, 3 of the 4 things I ordered didn't fit me. So we had to go back and return it and do all these things. So to some degree, it's like, well, I really got to go and try things on. However, I can imagine a world not in the too far distance where you stand in front of an AI mirror. It does all your measurements. It figures out what things fit you properly. and can go out and find those things and say, do you like this? Do you like that? And eventually learn what you like and say, hey, whatever you want to call your AI. Hey, Joe, I need some more T-shirts.
Yep.
Get me a black one, a blue one, a pink one, and I like let's do this one with the button down. And it orders you based on the knowledge of what's out there, the perfect fitting T-shirt, right?
Yep.
I think, right? Do you imagine that sort of thing will happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So take it even to the next level where it's like, hey, good morning, Brad. It's Thursday, and it's been 4.5 months since you bought your last T-shirt. Normally, you buy T-shirts every 4.5 months. So what I've done is I've ordered 9 of them. You're probably going to return most of them, but 3 of them are going to be what you like. So here are the options that I have on your doorstep for you.
Actually, can I use that voice when I do mine?
You have to. You have to. That's the Chris AI voice. Can I trademark that one?
Absolutely.
Beep, boop, boop, boop,
All right.
boop, boop.
So this is very interesting stuff that we're touching on because personal finances is a big thing. It's not taught in school. It's a big thing. Financial literacy, like finances are not taught in school, but if we have an AI assistant that are going to help us with our finances from day one, I'm having to teach my kids and, show them things and how to watch and how to set up your automatic payments so that you have good credit and all these things. But AI could certainly do it and have more of an interest and more involvement and do it perfectly, than I can by teaching them, right? And some people have an interest in that, some don't. And this will help everybody, right?
Yep.
So I totally see the application of that in personal finance, of course, and mortgage, which we talked about. But what about robotics? Do you have an opinion on robotics and when that will be something? We see these robots now that are personal robots that have come to a price point where you can actually buy one and put it in your house. Maybe, Micah, you can even look that up. Personal robot for your home.
Tesla Optimus.
There you go. Tesla Optimus. Let's look that up. But, I'm seeing this. At what point do we have these things in our home that are really part of our daily life?
Well, I will tell you this. So my flight landed last night at about 1 a.m. in the morning, and I would have much rather been driven by a self-driving car than the Uber driver that picked me up, because I'm pretty sure that guy fell asleep.
Yeah. Have you been in a Waymo?
I have not been in a Waymo,
Okay.
but I have been in a self-driving Uber, and I thought it was phenomenal.
Okay.
So
Waymo is in LA now. That's why I was curious.
No way.
Yeah.
So I tried to get one when I was in Vegas, and they were all full. It was like,
and I've noticed there's not enough. I tried to get one when I was in Arizona, and it was like a 45-minute wait versus 12, and I'm like, all right, I'm not doing it. But yeah, I agree.
But it's coming,
Yeah.
right? So if you take a look at robotics, it's it's the second. Manufacturing evolution? No, industrial.
Industrial.
It is the second industrial evolution.
Yeah.
Because we built the factories and we had the idea, right? So the idea is the factories, we produce all these things in mass. In Henry Ford revolutionizes the world with the assembly line, all of those wonderful things. Well, the hardware is going to catch the idea with AI because it's repeated processes, it's quality control, it's doing the same thing over and over and over. Think about a welder, right? There is an art to welding.
Yeah.
But there is also a science
That's right.
to welding.
Yep.
Right? When it's the same thing over and over again. So a lot of that is going to be taken by artificial intelligence robotics.
There's no question about it. In fact, when I was on this podcast just a few weeks ago, we talked about dark factories. Have you heard that term?
No.
So a dark factory is a factory that's run completely by robotics, and you don't even have to turn the lights on at all.
Yep.
So it's robotics building robotics, if you will. Interesting. So this is Tesla Optimus robots. Yeah. So we see this on our feeds and, Instagram and TikTok and all that sort of thing and how far they've come and over the years. But is this the one? I don't think this is the one that's gotten the price point down low enough where it's like the average consumer can buy it.
No. So Optimus is not publicly available yet. But he has stated, him being Elon, that it's going to be somewhere in around the range of $20,000. Where if you think of like a home personal assistant for less than the price of a car.
One-time purchase. It just gets updated.
Oh, trust me, they're going to figure out a recurring subscription on that bad boy.
Micah, change the lookup to a low-cost in-home robot. or something like that. See, we should be just asking chat for this because it's going to do a better job.
100%.
Let's do the old school Google search here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that one, that e-leak or whatever it is, that's the one I've seen showing on Amazon for $140.
No way.
That one. Yeah. Click on that. And I don't know what it does, the functions, but I've seen this advertised. So anyway, the point being is that I don't think we're that far off of something very sophisticated in our homes, like a Rosie from the Jetsons, and we're living through this. But what I love about what you're doing is you've taken the approach of, okay, instead of standing by and watching this happen, I'm going to apply that to the industry that I'm in and help people with what we currently have today be way better at it. And so if you keep doing that same thing and you keep looking at, hey, what's this other technology? You stay, that's why I call it cutting edge. You stay on the cutting edge. There's very few people doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. There are some large companies that are doing it, but individual, small marketing type companies, there's very few. You're doing some things that are really improving salespeople's lives because some people don't like making phone calls. They have call reluctance. Some people are just really not organized. But they're good persons. And when you put somebody in front of them to have that conversation with and talk about qualifying to buy a home or refinancing, they're really good. They're just terrible about building relationships and having a steady stream of business. And so you've created something that says, okay, let's take those tasks away from them and just help them to do what they do well.
That's right.
And that's what you've really done a great job with. So what I'd like to do is ask you one last question.
Sure.
But then share your information with everybody, because I'm sure that those that are listening, we have a large audience that's in real estate and mortgage and all that. They may want to get in touch with you, and a lot of them may have already heard of you, right? But my question for you is, where do you see overall taking what you know today about AI, what you think the future of AI looks like, what do you see the actual home buying and mortgage process looking like different from today in, say, 5 years? What does it look like to you? Paint the picture.
So,
are you a tech investor looking to shape the future of real estate? Homepie is the #1 for sale by owner marketplace, and we are revolutionizing the way homes are bought and sold. I'd love to hear from you. Just email invest@homepie.com and let's chat. Now back to the show.
So in 5 years, it is the sales professionals that are powered by AI that are using it for referrals and relationships and scaling referrals and relationships. So what we do now is we have a professional appointment setting service. So we make at scale outbound calls, real people, but using power dialers that are calling out to past customer databases, past referral partners, new qualified referral partners to open up relationships with those people. Well, the majority of the people don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
They respond back with email, text.
That's right.
Or an inbound phone call. Well, AI answers all of the inbound, right? It's got the perfect script, never takes a day off. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and gives a phenomenal experience to the person on the other side of the phone.
That's
right? You have to get back to a lead in the first 5 minutes. It doesn't matter who the conversation is with. If you miss that first 5 minutes, you miss the majority of the opportunity.
That's right.
AI is instant, always on. So applying that to relationships, not cold leads and trying to beat AI on marketing, because in the next couple of years, you're not going to win that game.
Yeah.
Right? But applying it to relationships and building relationships, because still the majority of our business comes from referrals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look, I agree with everything that you said. I've got a little bit take on what I see the real estate business looking like in 5 years.
Yes.
And the reason I say 5 years, it's hard to imagine 5 years, but this exponential growth of AI is why I'm saying I think it's 5 years away, and I've seen some of these things that are happening. So I think it becomes a lot easier, and this isn't for everybody. I want to qualify this. There's always going to be the segment of society that doesn't trust, this process. They want to meet with somebody in person, like all that sort of thing. That's fine. But for, say, the youth that's very used to growing up, in their phone, in their personal device, I think we're going to have a financial profile that'll be easily accessed. You don't have to like go in, log in, do connections and this and that. You just have to have one approval that says, I'm okay with my lenders and those people that are going to be loaning money or doing things with me to have access to my financial profile.
Yep.
I think that then becomes a very automated process of approving somebody based on their likelihood to repay, of getting a loan, and perfectly putting them in the best loan possible without having the levels of experience based on whoever you speak with and, you know, whether or not your loan officer does a good job of putting you in the best product or not, right? And then on the real estate side, that people will be able to virtually do the things that they currently do in person. That is the things you just described about, here's the type of home I want. So I can do a description of, I want to have a 3,500 square foot home on a lake that has, I want to be on the side of the lake where the sun sets across the lake. So I have a beautiful view. I want to be in an area where there's a lot of activity. I'm near restaurants. I'm near things that people are outside running. And, you know, I want the weather to be such that it doesn't get any cooler than, 50 degrees in the winter and any hotter than 90 degrees in the summer. Find me this place on earth. Show me these homes. I want to, so that type of an experience, it shows it to you. You can virtually tour. Obviously, you can always go and physically look at it. And then that process goes in a very streamlined manner as well. And all those things that you just described, the vendors that go into the process, it becomes an automated thing, click of a button. I don't know if that's literally like all components of that are 5 years from now, but I definitely feel like there are going to be facets of it that are 5 years from now.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot that we're going to see unfold. I want to see you continue to be on the cutting edge of this because I like following you and I like hearing the things that you're doing.
Thank you.
If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
So I'm Chris Johnstone on Instagram. So _ Chris Johnstone on Instagram. If you're a loan officer, go to loanofficerlaunch.ai. Loanofficerlaunch.ai. It shows in today's world with today's technology that's already pre-built for you, how to take the 7 ways that you generate referrals, apply AI to each of them so that you get more referral business while actually working less.
Awesome. And let me tell you, everybody, I've seen it. I've used it. It's extraordinary. So if you want to really improve your business, check it out. Again, thanks for joining us on The Blueprint. Once again, if you've enjoyed this and we brought you value, please like, subscribe, follow, share, do all those things. It really helps the channel. And we will see you next time on The Blueprint.